Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions on a Wednesday afternoon. Just going to do a follow-up solo session on yesterday. So we're doing a series in conversion optimization. Yesterday we looked at critique of landing pages and breaking them down. And today what we're going to do is how to build out a landing page, give some more examples, the avatar behind it, and a few other key things. I'm just going to share quickly to the groups. So bear with me, and then we'll get straight into it. So 1 second, and nearly there. Okay, there we go. Right, so let's get straight into it. So the first thing I want to talk about, and especially prevalent with Shopify sites, we covered a lot of the sites yesterday, and there's quite a few of them there with sliders. Now, your designer is going to tell you it's a great idea. People think they look really swish and good on websites. The problem is most of them, or near enough all of them, they convert really bad. So just want to go over a few things there, and I'll share the resources as well. But Jacob Nielsen, he's a usability guy. He's been around for years, very well respected. And his team are confirmed in tests. They've run a usability study where they gave users the following tasks. So they're saying, does Simon's have a special deals on washing machine, as an example. The information that was most prominent on the slide, but the users didn't see it, totally hit in basically banner blindness. So what Nielsen concluded was that image carousels effectively get ignored all the time. Another study from Notre Dame University, they tested it too. The only action that they got was on the first slide, which was 1% or just under. So effectively, they barely checked into any of the other slides within inside of the carousel. And so what you're doing is you're giving up half the page and all of what's going on above the fold, and effectively it becomes a waste of time. So you're putting it there and people getting banner blindness. Another guy, Adam Fellows, he's done lots of conversion optimization stuff and respected in the community in conversion optimization world, says almost all the testing I've done has managed to prove content delivered via carousels to be missed by users. Few interact with them and many comment that they just look like adverts. So we're witnessing the banner blindness concept in full effect. Another conversion guy, Craig Kitzler, in all the testing I've done, homepage carousels are completely ineffective. For one, anything beyond the initial view has a huge decrease in visitor interaction. And two, the chances that the information being displayed in the carousels match what the visitor is looking for. So imagine if you're sending a lot of traffic to the homepage, and we call it an ad sent. It's something that I'll talk about on another session, where your ad matches up with what's going on the page. And if you're using slides and forget about this, you're going to direct people to the website, and they're going to see the first thing they see may not be what's related to the ad. So in the case of carousel becoming a very large banner, it just gets ignored. In test after test, the first thing the visitor does when coming to a page with a large carousel is to scroll right past it and start looking for triggers that would move them forward with their task. So there's a few things there to give you an example. Now, if we look at on, let's say, a biological level and the way that the brain reacts and stuff, the human eye reacts to movement, and obviously in that period, it's missing out important stuff. Our brains have 3 layers. The oldest part is what we share with reptiles, and mostly concerned about survival. So a sudden change on the horizon could be the matter of life and death. So hence the human eye reacts to movement, including constantly moving images, sliders and carousels. So effectively what we're looking at is too many messages equals no message. Image carousels effectively fall victim to banner blindness, and most people won't pay attention to them, even though even the ones that they do, they often miss the message. Now, what's quite interesting, I'm just going to bring up a site now, which most people that are doing what we do in terms of FBA, etc., and private labeling. Let me just pull up a website that I'll bring it up, and you'll know what I mean when I bring it up now. So a lot of you guys who are in the community will know who Anchor are, and Anchor, I think, does well over 100-200 million a year, maybe somewhere in between that, but not too far off. So obviously they're a very well respected company in the community. A lot of people see what they do in terms of their design, their packagings. I mean, the amount of people I could count on both ends that have taken their, do you remember the insert cards with like, dislike, and then it was wrapped up on a square card that you flipped over? A lot of people took that idea as an idea for insert and operating in and around the terms of service. But you can see here that even with Anchor, that as successful as they are, so they may not have someone who is in-house that does conversion optimization. Obviously, they make a lot of money on Amazon, but they're probably missing a trick based on the data I just provided there. So that's one thing I wanted to get out of the way. It's just avoiding using carousels. It can be a lazy way of doing things as well. And obviously, if you're working, I'll get into teams that you build around landing pages later. But if you've got pressure from your designer and your designer isn't a user interface designer or doesn't have that experience, then that's going to be a big problem as well, where you can overcook the design in a lot of cases when you're building landing pages and home pages, etc. Another site I want to show you is, there's a few here, but let me just go over this one. This is something that I would say you definitely want to stay away from when people are doing the affiliate style sites. So let me just bring this up and you can see what I mean. Everyone's seen these type of pages before. Let's have a look. There we go. So as you can see here, it's that typical long landing page, black background, or like white foreground, red text at the top. And you can see here with the text as well, look, finally a proven step-by-step program that will show you how to auto body and paint so well that your neighbors won't believe that you did it. And it's all full of cliches. So you roll through the page here. They've got the attractive woman in scantily clothed and leaning up against the car, which is the video. You can see the video thumbnail pops up. So this chases you down the page. And then as you get down to here, there's different colors text going on. They're using a big green button here. But here's the cheeky one. Look, so what's this? I think this is Trustpilot. But you can't go through to the reviews here. So you can literally just cut and paste and make that up. Customers are not stupid, and it's like they're using the word trust on the website. But you know, when you do stuff like this is just pretty dark, right? And then you've got here, we don't know any of this information is actually true, but when you look at the builder site, and we're talking about trust as well, get down and dirty and create the ride of your dreams. Again, ladies with skimpy clothing on, standing up against cars. Now they probably got to that kind of market. So if you're into cars, I've seen these conventions and stuff where you see them online and stuff, and obviously they're using the attractive woman to pull them in, etc., etc. So I think what they're trying to do is they're going for their target market and go for the biological thing of the needs and wants of the human that goes back, or a man that goes back thousands of years. But it's sites like these is that in some cases, people were taught to build sites like these, and it's really old school. So the point I'm trying to get across here, would you go, okay, I want to go and see Elon Musk and buy a Tesla? And if you turned up at the Tesla website, which I'll show in a minute, and it looks like that, there's absolutely no chance you're going to drop tens of thousands of dollars on getting a car when you go to a website like this. So this is why it's really important to know who your customer avatar is. I mean, weight loss pills, all this kind of stuff. People fall for this shit all the time. But just bear in mind is that you've got to focus on who your customer truly is. So let me just bring up another one as well. Stop sharing the screen there. Let's bring up this one. Here we go. Check this out. So this is a blog link. Again, I'll send it over, the ugly websites here. I mean, it comes back down to the trust and the space within the design and allowing it to breathe. I mean, someone's obviously dialed this up and gone to somewhere like, I don't know, Fiverr and got 2 children with a couple of crowns to put this one together. But it's dreadful. You know, it's really, really bad. I mean, look at this one here as well. You can barely read what's going on the screen, but a lot of this stuff is encouraged. This is encouraged. You go to a lot of the affiliate sites. I mean, I know this one's more old school, and there's a lot of really sophisticated affiliates out there, so it'd be unfair to say that. But for every 10 really good ones who understands design concepts and really good at marketing, you've also got these people that are sold these kind of templates and stuff to say, right, this converts on everything. But realistically, you need to do your own research to get behind it. Where's this one? Again, look at this one. I mean, going back to my point yesterday, only ask for what you need, right? So if you've got a form on your page, the form capture information becomes as relevant until the requirement of the conversion that you need. I mean, look, date of birth, we might as well just put in shoe size, and yeah, there's so much going on in this page that their conversions, I imagine, be really, really low. So again, when you're building out forms, you have to be very clear on what you need. Again, this one here, first name, last name, street address, city, state, zip, home number, cell phone, email address, and then it gets into the mortgages, months late on the mortgage and stuff like that. So if people are struggling for finance and stuff, you often see the sites like this, because they're what's the word for it? I'm trying to be kind about it, but it's almost like they're preying on people. So like, it's the same with the diet pill sites and things like that. You often going to get sites like this, but it's not necessarily going to build trust with your audience. Right, let me stop sharing that screen here as well. What else have we got? Right, so let's start talking about the team that you build. Going back to the point is when you encourage just to, great copywriting, and that's all you need. But the key parts to a team is you're going to need someone who's going to work, or the team works on the research. I'm going to go into the avatar checklist and stuff in a minute. You have a team that builds out the research, whether you do that yourself in-house. You have someone on the technical nature, whether they're a developer. What you often find is developers and designers, left brain, right brain kind of thing, they never normally have the same set of skills. Like you'd find a lot of really good developers, unless they're front end, really good developers are not really fit for design, right? And then you get lots of really good designers who are not really good in terms of the programming side. So if you can bring people together on that, and that's where the team part comes in. And it might sound like I'm talking about now is very expensive. I've got a team for all of the stuff that we build out. It's taken a while to build out that team to get the relationships together, but we've got a developer, we've got a designer who's also good with UI as well. We've got a copywriter, and then we do all the research together. And the idea is that you bring all of these elements into play. So when it comes to the avatar checklist, it's the normal stuff when you're honing in on the products that you're developing on for your business on Amazon. So you've got the name, age, sex, location, education. So this is a demographics checklist, right? Occupation, job title, role, income, marital status, home, whether it's rented, shared, solo, etc. Causes, digital, tech, web, awareness, interest, info sources. Now, you might only take a fraction of those, but starting to build up an avatar around that is really important. And then you're going to look at the customer traits checklist. So we're talking about, what are the values, their attitudes, their beliefs, their political leanings, lifestyle, ethics, religion, spirituality, and then you've got the cause of the things that they like, and the things that you need to look at to resolve. So problems, pain points, fears, objection, challenges, obstacles. A lot of that stuff comes up into the copy as well. We also know is that on Amazon, if you can solve a problem and you're good at marketing, you've got a good set up into the infrastructure in terms of sourcing and factory access and all the required elements to be put together. They're going to be your key components, but obviously everything starts with a product, and that's where you're going to win or you're going to fail. I mean, you may be able to get away with hacks and stuff on some products, do some add to carts, that kind of thing to keep it into play, but we know we live and die by the product. If the Amazon customer's not into it, there's only so much stuff you can buff up the product to keep it into play before it starts to drop in rankings and stuff. Amazon customers vote with their wallets. Some other things to look at as well. So when you're putting all of this stuff together, sometimes it takes a week to 2 weeks to really formulate what you want to do in terms of the copy and everything else. Obviously, making sure you've got good visuals. There's a software called, there's a website called Color Lovers. I'll bring this up now. So even if you're not a designer, this is something that you can use just to get some ideas. I'm going to bring it up on the screen now. One sec. I think the program's getting stuck here. One second. Oh, here we go. Let's go to. All right. So this website here is Color Lovers. And effectively what it does, it puts the tonality of the palettes together for you. So any new trends that's coming out this year, you've got the search functionality at the top of the site. So remember what we were talking about yesterday with the various different colors. Let me just pull up my list and quickly go through them again, because you'll use those as a touch point of where you want to start and what kind of colors that you want to use towards your brand. So I remember yesterday I spoke about red being energy, strength, power, and determination. That also works as danger, used for validation text and on browser errors for the end user, etc. Then you've got orange, joy, sunshine, and tropics. That's probably the second most obvious color that you used as a conversion button behind green. Then you've got yellow, which displays for joy, happiness, intellect, energy. Green is growth, harmony, and freshness. Blue is trust, loyalty, wisdom, confidence, intelligence. Purple is power, nobility, and luxury. White is faith and purity. Black is power, elegance, and formality. All right, so you're able to go through all these different palettes. You can see with these palettes, the wider the palette is, the way it operates is what the leading colors will be. So if we wanted to have, I don't know, go through and look at blue as our start point of our color codes, color system in terms of the branding, etc. Again, this is something that you'd work with designers. You can see here that this one here. Now these are equally balanced, but you can see if we look at the blue at this end and the orange at this end, there's a real standout and differentiation in terms of if that was a button against the blue background. Or you might have a white background site and then you start to bring in some of the other color formations here. You can see by this one here, this is a dark blue, but obviously that's the encouragement of this palette that has been designed by some designers and put together, is saying this is effectively, this should be your lead color and these are the colors that you should complement with. So there's some ideas there where you can just generate to decide on what you want to do in terms of where do I want to start with the colors, what are conversion colors, what does my brand represent, you know, do I want to use green, do I want to use blue, is it going to be a white background site, which is quite common for commerce sites as well. There's some other stuff I want to go into as well. It is, let's bring it up here. Right, okay, so customer feedback. Now, once you've got through that stage, you've developed your landing page, you've got the anatomy of the landing page, all the design layout, you've got the copy, you want to be able to understand before you maybe go to market, you want to try and get feedback as much as possible, which is the hardest point, right? So as business owners, we all are quick to tell people, you know, go out into cafes, go and do your market research. We're all good at having that kind of chat, but none of us actually go out and do it. So there are online companies. In our space, everyone knows a PickFu. So you're able to test designs. They bring a community of people together to give you feedback. That's one way of doing it. You could get 10 people that you know and then go and do a Zoom call and then have them at the corner with them sharing the screen and them going through the website without prompting. Then you can watch their eyes and you can hear what they're saying as they're going down the screen to see whether they get this or not. I mean, when you use someone like PickFu, it's quite cheap to do stuff like that. But if you haven't got a budget, then find 10 people. Nearly everyone's got Zoom now in COVID. It's quite straightforward to do. And you'll learn an immense amount of information, because it goes back to my point yesterday when we went through that blog post for Shopify sites. So Shopify are promoting these 50 sites, and whether I was right or wrong or indifferent, I still managed to critique 30 of them, which a lot of them was missing their message, that we didn't understand, or I didn't understand, or at least people in the comments were agreeing with me as well, is that if you've got that 2.46 seconds where people focus, if you go back to the human biology where people make a decision on a person when they meet them in an eighth of a second or so, when you've got, say, somewhere between 17 milliseconds and 50 milliseconds that people are making quick mental recordings of what's in front of them, then you know how powerful that can be by just getting feedback from people. So you've got PickFu as one. There is another site called 5secondcontest.com. Again, it goes back to that point. The idea is they flash up a landing page and they ask people, you know, open questions rather than like closed. So not like a yes or no. They want to be able to get an articulated answer of some kind back, because what's important with the testing as well is you've got to ask the right questions in order to get the right answers. And sometimes you've got to spend a little time to scope out those kind of questions to get the value for money. So the 5-second test goes back to that point where, you know, if someone's going to make an overall decision. Do you remember yesterday when I was talking about the data where someone would spend X amount of time on the branded logo at the top of the site, then X amount of time on the navigation, X amount of time on the content, but where they really want to focus their energies and where their eyes are drawn to, it takes them 2.6 seconds to make a decision to hover there and then, you know, try and receive the information and try and understand what that information is. So the site of the 5-second test is a great way of, do you understand what this website's all about? So another thing I want to mention from the show yesterday, even I got it wrong. I was looking and breaking down a page thinking it was a florist. It wasn't a florist, it was a flowerist. And that's because, one, I'm dumb. Two, effectively the way that the font was, I misread what it is. So I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, this is, they do local deliveries and everything else, but I completely missed it was a florist. I don't know what a florist really is, but it's part of something to do with bakery and stuff. But it just goes to show that even when I was doing the critique and I went through all the other pages, I completely missed what that is. So it's really important people understand what they are getting and what you are trying to convey as a message. So even if you've got 10 or 15 people giving feedback, ideally you want more to have a bigger sample set. That is going to be key as well. Another one is usertesting.com. The other one is UserZoom. And there's another one which I'll finally finish on for today's show is browser validation tools. So this is another big problem that you run into as well. So you're testing and you might just be using an iPhone and like a desktop Mac, right? Or a laptop or AirBook, whatever. But what about all the other browsers out there, testing on Safari, not just Chrome, and going through all of these different browsers, especially on PCs and stuff that can become troublesome as well. And so you might have a really good looking site that only works brilliantly on your desktop or on your mobile, but completely underwear across all these other platforms. So then you've got that long job of going around and doing this in terms of trying to get people who use a PC, because not everyone has a PC and a Mac, etc., etc. So there's a software called BrowserStack. If you go to browserstack.com, and what that does, it will simulate the test on mobile, tablet, and on desktop, and it will give you all the variations of all the different browser types and the versions of the browsers going back an X amount of period. So 2, 3, 4 years. So if you think about the Firefox updates, Chrome updates that you get, so that's really key as well, because you can go and build a really great site and it's just absolutely useless in a lot of cases where you haven't gone in and done the testing. So hopefully we kind of covered some decent areas today. Go back over again. So effectively, don't be using sliders. I went through the checklist here in terms of building the page and an avatar, keep it clean in terms of how you're promoting your marketing, doing like snidey stuff like adding reviews and stuff like that is just simply not going to build trust with people, and people see through that. I mean, the web's been around long enough now for people to understand what is good and what's not. Good design equals trust, and trust is equal to people wanting to buy from you. So I'm going to finish up today. I'll do some more installments. We're going to get more technical. We're probably going to break down next week. I'll break down a page of actually going through each section of building an optimization list to optimize it, and then setting some benchmarks to what we want to test against, because that's really important as well. We can have all this data, but what are we really wanting to test against? And that's going to be key as well. Sharon, Evan will be here tomorrow. I'll be back next week. Take care of yourself and family. Much love.